Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, whatever time you're watching the show, because I know some of you guys watch it at all times. But anyways, welcome to Age Wise Boston, sponsored by Central Boston Elder Services. I'm Mike Kincaid, your host, and I have an extraordinary guest with me today. I had the amazing opportunity a few weeks ago to catch a show at Club Cafe called Judy Garland Live, and the gentleman who was a tribute artist, and we're going to talk about what that is, who was performing, honored me by coming on the show, and I thank you, Peter Mack, tribute artist.
I thank you, Michael, for having me.
So Peter, this is what we were talking about before we came on the air. I think of tribute artists, and then I think of impersonators, and then and you also mentioned drag queens. Three different categories.
Yes.
So help us out. What's the tribute artist to me? And as I saw you as Judy Garland, you can tell that's out of love.
Yes, basically, pure out of love, out of reverence, trying to make the audience really believe that when they come to see you, that is the person they're seeing.
That they're seeing, right.
And almost always, it's somebody who has passed on, is no longer with us. I mean, it's big with Elvis, Marilyn Monroe.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of Elvis, tribute artists, Frank Sinatra, and Judy. And I mean, it's just, I think there's been a kind of a debate over the years about, doing drag and tribute art. And it's not that one is inferior to or superior to. I mean, it's each their own beast. I think tribute art, especially when it's a guy portraying a woman, it's just kind of almost an extension of drag, because you're having fun with it, but you're walking a fine line, but it's all coming out of love and trying to, depict that person, hopefully, with as much grace and dignity. And for the people that weren't lucky enough to see them, that they're actually getting a chance to see them live.
Which I got to ask this question. As somebody who grew up with Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
And then in my older years, thanks to things like the internet, being able to watch performances from when I was 10 years old that I couldn't remember to save my life. Watching you perform, this thought crossed my mind. What do you think Judy would have thought about it?
I think she would have gotten a kick out of it. She knew Jim Bailey, who we lost a few weeks ago.
Who was the king?
He was the king of, I always used Jim as my blueprint. He was my mentor, because he proved that you could do a classy act. And so I kind of used him as my blueprint for what I do. Jim, I think, was more from what I've never got to see him live. I've only seen videotapes and such. But he was just more concerts. My shows are a little more theatrical. I think there's a little more acting going on. But Jim was the be-all, end-all. He was just brilliant. What was the question?
well, I'm gonna jump off of that, and we should start at the beginning, okay?
Yes.
And Peter Mack is how old when he says, you know what? I can be other people.
I was about 5 years old when I realized I had a knack for voices, and my family realized it. When I was 5, my idol was Dustin Hoffman in Tootsie.
In Tootsie.
Yes,
Okay.
that was it. I was absolutely enthralled by, Dorothy Michaels. So I was always a friend of Dorothy, even before Judy came on. But, he makes an important statement in that movie as his character, Michael Dorsey, where he says to his best friend, this is the greatest acting challenge an acting can have. I have to make them believe I'm really a woman. I mean, to get the job, he had to make them believe he was really a female.
Right.
And so that kind of, I think, always stuck with me. And in the movie, Dorothy Michaels becomes this real person. I mean, there's no, correlation between Dorothy Michaels and Dustin Hoffman, or even the character that he's playing. So I kind of liked that. So I put on one of my grandmother's, she didn't wear wigs, but she had this old doll that my mom had, and she had a wig on the doll. So I grabbed that wig, and I would put on one of her house coats, and I would do Dorothy Michaels imitations for my family. That's how it started. It's all Dustin Hoffman's fault if you're watching Mr. Hoffman. It's all your fault.
Okay. But see, now you've made me lose my trail. All right, so in doing some homework for this, one of the things I was asking myself is that I know people who go into theater to hide who they really are. Because when you're on stage, you can be anybody you want to be.
Yeah.
You can that character. And so I guess my question to you is, your teenage years, high school, moving on, things like that. Did you find yourself saying, okay, I get to hide behind my characters?
I think that's part of it. I think that's actually a wonderful point that Moss Hart brings up in his autobiography, that isn't that really the craft of acting? Is the art of being someone else? You know, he goes, oh, just be yourself. I get to be myself all day, every day. So I went into the business so I could be other people. Definitely, probably hiding a little bit. I was not the most popular kid in school. I had a horrific time of it. I grew up in a very narrow-minded Long Island suburb, and it was a real sports town, and I didn't fit into that mold.
Okay.
But again, just the joy of performing. I made the mistake of being entertaining at some point, and someone made the even bigger mistake of applauding. And so that was it.
And once you get that fix, you
That's it. You're
hooked.
But it's true. But I guess it is a little bit like hiding, but in a fun way. You know, I get to take it off at the end of the night and be Peter.
And be Peter.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question. I was reading a little bit about you. 30
All lies.
characters? Vicious lies.
Vicious lies.
But you've developed 30 characters over the years. And first of all, how long have you been doing it? Let me rephrase the question. How long have you been doing it professionally? I'm not talking when you were 10 years old borrowing people's clothes. How long has Peter Mack been a tribute artist?
Well, I hit my 10-year anniversary with Judy in 2012.
Wow.
And received a very lovely, prestigious award as a result of it, which is a very special moment in my life. So yeah, it's now, where are we? We're in 2015. I'm coming up on my anniversary.
Okay, wait a minute, Peter. You can't do that to my audience. You can't throw that out there, because I'm at home right now watching this going, so what award? So, what did you, I know, but share with the folks, especially who gave it to you.
Well, what was nice is that a lovely lady named Margaret O'Brien came to see the show. And for those of you watching, you might know that Margaret played Judy's little sister in Meet Me in St. Louis and did a whole bunch of MGM movies like The Secret Garden. Just a brilliant child actress, won an Academy Award. But she came to see my show, and she became a fan. And it was on what would have been Judy's 90th birthday. I was doing a very special show for Judy because it would have been her 90th birthday. And Margaret, at the end, I said, we're going to have a birthday cake posthumously. Will you help us cut the cake and, posthumously wish Judy a happy birthday? She said, yes, but I have to make a little speech first. And I said, oh, okay. She knew Judy, so let her go ahead. And she said, I am on the board of the Southern California Motion Picture Council, and we give out what we refer to as the Golden Halo Award. And I have decided, along with my colleagues and the president, Randall Malone, that we're going to give you the Golden Halo Award for outstanding achievement in live performances as the great Judy Garland. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it up until the night, because I got the award that December. And not only did Margaret present it to me, but Mickey Rooney, presented the award to me. It is a moment in my life I will never forget.
No.
And it was weird, because they wanted me to do my show first, and Mickey hadn't seen the show. And during the show, he started to converse with me as if she was really there. And he would say, Judy, do you remember we were filming Girl Crazy? And luckily, I knew the answers, to what he was talking about. So we were, and the audience was eating it up.
They think it's an act.
They think it's an act. And, it's funny, Mickey died about 10 months later. And both Randall and Margaret said after the fact, they said, I think in his own way, he had one little last visit with Judy.
Yeah.
But it was all real. It was all coming from very real. And he knew it was an actor. It wasn't senility or what have you. It was, he knew it was an actor, because at the end of the night, he was so lovely and was gushing. And, Margaret and Randall again said to me, he's a tough customer. Mickey is a tough customer. Yeah, it's very hard. And he loved the show and, gave me this rousing endorsement. But I will never forget the night I stood nose to nose with Andy Hardy, And I could have stood there for hours. Just lovely.
Do you ever get overwhelmed by this? And what I mean by that is, you do an amazing tribute show, and I picture, like, I brought my mom, and I sometimes wonder, do you find yourself performing and you get seniors who come up to you and like, oh my God, all of a sudden I was a teenager again?
Yes. Yeah, it does happen.
How that's got to be a little bit overwhelming sometimes.
The great thing is when someone comes up and says, I remember the first time someone said to me back in New York, by the second song I was hooked. And she was there. That's it. I had no doubt in my mind that Judy Garland was, and it's like, wow, mission accomplished, because you want to become the character. If they don't believe I'm her or any of the other ladies,
Doesn't
for that
work.
matter, it doesn't work. I haven't done my job. So we've had people here in Boston who saw her at the Boston Common. We're coming up on the 47th anniversary of her Boston Common concert. And they saw her there. They saw her at the Boston Back Bay at the auditorium over there. And they were like, you brought back childhood memories for me.
Yeah.
And then for the younger people who only know her as Dorothy, they don't realize this amazing body of work she left behind, the Carnegie Hall concert, the television series.
Yep.
I had a guy in his early 20s come up to me and say, again, I only knew Wizard of Oz up till tonight. And now I'm going to find the television series and I want to watch more of the movies. And so it's great. It just, I think brings more attention to her, which she certainly deserves.
So how do you prepare? Well, first of all, you have some rather elaborate costumes.
Yes.
How do you, tell me about your research.
We are constantly, in terms of, I think, again, if you can replicate and get it as close as possible, the hairstyles. My wonderful wig master who does the wigs for Cirque out in Las Vegas, Mark Hoyer, he looks at photos, and we do all periods of Judy, primarily concert years.
Right,
The
I
big
see.
bouffants
Right.
from her television series, her later kind of pixie cut, which she started putting sparkles in, because she would wear it with the outfit they made for her for Valley of the Dolls, that bronze paisley pantsuit.
Yeah.
And we wear that in the show, and that's wonderful because again, the audience who knows this stuff, the Garland fans, be like, "Oh my God, it's the Valley of the Dolls costume," But they appreciate the attention to detail. So we look at photos, video footage, whatever we can to get it as accurate as possible. Yeah, and I have a lovely lady out in California who just doesn't even use a pattern. She looks at the photos and then has my measurements and she does them from scratch.
Because that's the thing that amazed me is that I go online and I'm looking at all the outfits.
Yeah.
And I don't want us to just focus on Judy because you've got a body of work, Peter. I mean, Lauren Bacall, Betty Davis.
Betty Davis.
Can I hear a little bit of Betty Davis?
Oh, nice. Oh, nice.
And that's what I mean. Okay, for lack of a better description, you do some serious hardcore Hollywood women
Yes.
who didn't take nothing from anybody.
No.
And is that something? Is that deliberate? I mean, Mae West. I mean, good Lord, is that a deliberate intent to do? Stop! Don't do that. You'll freak me out. But I mean, is it a deliberate attempt to say I picked strong Hollywood women?
I connect to them. That's the thing about any impersonation or tribute art you're going to do. I think you have to connect. Sometimes people will say, why don't you do some more of the current divas? Because I don't feel a connection to them. After Judy, actually, the lady I love performing as most is Katharine Hepburn. And I do a show as an older Kate, reminiscing about Hollywood and Spencer Tracy. But again, I think there's strong women, but yet they had a vulnerability about them.
Which is the Marilyn Monroe persona.
Yes. In fact, I've been getting requests out the wahoo to do Marilyn. I think I'm finally going to have to cave in and give it a shot. I adore Marilyn, and I think I'd like to take a crack at it.
But I guess I'm going to ask, which Marilyn would you do?
Definitely, I think later, poor Marilyn wasn't with us that long.
Right,
but,
that is correct.
I like that, again, something's got to give, early 60s Marilyn.
Okay.
And there's so many wonderful tapes of her talking in that period, talking to journalists and talking about her life. And I think I could draw a lot from that. I listened to those interviews a lot. And same with Judy. I mean, that's how I do my research.
Well, one of the cool things that I like about what you do with Judy, and where I'm going with this is it's going to lead to Marilyn, is in you being Judy, you debunk the myth.
Yes.
You basically smack it down. And so where I'm going with this question is so if you tackle the Marilyn challenge, how do you overcome the dumb blonde persona? Which anybody who knows anything about Marilyn knows that woman was everything but dumb.
Very intelligently. And Judy the same way.
Exactly,
Extremely
yeah.
witty, very smart. I mean, her daughter Liza has said that on many occasions. My mother was very, very, with it. And I think that's it. I mean, you think of the persona of Marilyn Monroe on screen and the ditzy blonde. But it's like, no, we're going to bring you the person.
Oh.
We're going to bring you the person of whoever it happens to be. With Judy, it's all about, most people who do this, particularly the gentlemen who do it, aside from the great Jim Bailey, they play up the aspect of Judy's addiction to prescription medication.
Right.
And walk out on stage staggering and making jokes about pills and pretending to get drunk. And I just think that's, to me, imitation is supposed to be the sincerest form of flattery, not battery.
But and it's funny. In an earlier conversation, I was talking with somebody, and they were sharing what they play to the lowest common denominator, which is people think that's funny.
Yeah.
But it's not people who loved Judy.
No.
It's which I still don't understand that.
Yeah.
I really don't understand the whole mentality of let's make fun of somebody who you knew nothing about.
No, and how can you? I can't find humor in someone else's adversity
Or pain.
or pain. And then some will say, "Oh, well, she had a very self-deprecating sense of humor." Well, but you just answered your question. Self-deprecation is just that, not me putting on a wig. So again, it's about presenting. And we certainly tackle. You saw the show. She does talk about her demons,
Right.
and
Yeah,
what
she
that's
does.
like.
Yeah,
But
she
it's
does.
handled in a very serious way, and hopefully touches the audience. And so that's how we do it. And then that's it. It's over. It's done.
Snapshot.
You know.
One of my favorite lines in the play.
Yes.
Nobody likes a happy Judy.
Her line.
But tonight we're happy.
But tonight we're happy. Right?
and I love that line.
Yes.
I said that's throwing it back.
Yeah, and that was her thing. Liza Minnelli has said she would sometimes put on a face and she would say, "Nobody wants a happy Judy Garland," and she would laugh, But that's what we give them. I mean, and again, there's so many wonderful things now coming out, I think, that are helping to debunk the myth. Hopefully what I do is to do that, to educate people. It's entertaining, but hopefully educating them about who the real Judy was. There's a wonderful CD set that just came out that features 3 of her final concerts where people are saying, "Oh, she was washed up, she was a has-been, she had no voice." Well, this is proof positive, these CDs, that she still had all of her magic in the end. A wonderful book called Always for Judy by a lady named Joan Colson, who knew her and who could actually dispute some of these stories that have been made up over the years and saying, "I was there and it didn't happen this way."
Didn't happen that way.
Yeah. So wonderful things like that are happening. And so.
Have you ever thought about confronting some of the, I know somebody who knew somebody who once rode a train with somebody who was on an elevator with somebody who overheard somebody say, fill in the blank. Have you ever really thought about showing up and going, that's bull?
Oh, I've had confrontations with people.
Oh, let's get juicy. No. We'll save that for another show.
Yes, we'll save that for another show. But I have, because it's like, well, no. I mean, I've done there was an awful show on Broadway called End of the Rainbow that had nothing to do with Judy's life. This author, and I use that term loosely, playwright,
Let's not insult authors.
Well, but he's, this playwright, so-called playwright, he wrote a play about a washed-up cruise singer, male, by the way, who had a drinking problem, and he couldn't sell it, and admitted in an interview, "Well, I couldn't sell it." So someone said, "Well, make it about Judy Garland because she was an addict." But there was absolutely nothing factual about the play, and it left a very, very bad scar on her memory. So I don't, I try to rail against that.
All right. So let's talk about Peter. What's next for Peter Mac?
What's next? Well, I'm enjoying my run at Clip Cafe.
Yep.
And I'm there every Saturday night. Shameless plug.
But you're there as Judy every Saturday night, but you're also doing the Golden
The
Girls.
Golden Girls Live, the Lost Reunion episode.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet. That's on my agenda.
Yes. I play Sophia Petrillo in that particular.
That's a stretch.
That's a stretch, yes. Feisty little Italian.
Wonder where that comes from. All right. So that's what we're doing to Judy.
Yes.
And you've got a new production, The Lost Years. We talked about that earlier.
Yes,
Not The Lost Years.
The songs that got away.
Got away. What are these Judy songs or songs by other people by Judy?
Well,
In other words, covers.
yes. In other words, most of the stuff is stuff written from 1969 on. So obviously after she passed away. Right. Okay. And there's all songs that you hear them and go, yeah, she would have done that. I mean, stuff by the Carpenters.
Okay.
So Close to You. We've Only Just Begun. Top of the World. Disney tunes. You know,
Just don't do Frozen.
no. I think even Judy would say, "Let it go."
Let it go,
already."
really.
You know,
Don't have me come to the show and throw something at you.
no. There's some wonderful stuff like "A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes."
Yeah, okay, all right. So we're
You know,
talking classics.
Classics.
Okay, got you.
You know, so Disney, the Carpenters. We even let her do a little ABBA.
That's scary.
It's kind of fun.
Dancing Queen.
Yeah, I'm not going to say.
Please
you have
don't.
to come say.
Oh no, no, the ultimate tease.
So we have fun. I mean, and we throw those in now, just little hints of them.
Okay.
You know, we just occasionally she'll throw in a song that got away, but primarily right now we just do the hardcore Judy songbook. But in this new show, you get the best of both worlds. You get the signature songbook plus a sampling of songs that you go, oh my God, she totally would have sung that.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, before we run out of time, where do you see Peter Mack 5 years from now?
Still working, I hope. Still working. I hope I'm still doing better. I hope to get better at what I'm doing. I always want to get better.
This is a dumb question, but I got to ask it. What is the difference between Peter Mack today, 2015, and Peter Mack 20 years ago, who was a young kid finding that rainbow?
A very frightened little boy who discovered Judy Garland, the singer, when he was 12 years old.
Okay.
And actually, I attribute finding Judy to my survival. As I mentioned, I didn't have the best adolescence. But when I found Judy, the singer, and I found her records, I could go into my basement after a horrible day at school, being beaten up, having my eyeglasses broken, and things not being so great at home either, and listen to Judy's music and sing along with her and feel better about myself. Never viewed her as a tragic figure. It was always about the joy.
I
She
can see
made me
that.
feel good about myself.
I can see that. But now when you here's where I'm going. When you perform now,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, the hardest part about watching you perform is not wanting to close your eyes because it's so real, and you want to you want to close your eyes so you can say, okay, this is Judy, but then my God, I'm looking at this and it's Judy. That's the hardest part about watching you perform, is not closing your eyes.
Well, I'll take it as a compliment. That's really sweet.
So, how much have you improved with this?
Oh, I think it gets better all the time. I mean, I look at photos of myself. I look at, how primitive my hair and makeup was.
That's
and
right.
I cringed. I absolutely cringed. I didn't know how to blend. I didn't have a wig master doing the stuff for me. I didn't, everything was off the rack. And so I think you just get better. I mean, that's it. I mean, in life, no matter what you do, you just want to get better at it. So we want to raise the bar with each year.
So that's kind of hard.
Yeah, but it's, what's the point if it's not a challenge?
Is there a new show?
It's not about whether or not you can do it. It's whether or not you're up to the challenge.
Oh, because you only fail if you never try.
That's right.
They're getting ready to give us the wrap up. So my question that I usually ask all my guests, if there's one thing you want if folks forget everything else that we've talked about, what's that one thing you want them to remember? Besides the fact that they can see you at Club Cafe on
Every Saturday night.
Every Saturday night, 8 p.m. show.
JudyGarlandShow.com.
There you go. What's the one thing you want folks to remember if they don't remember anything else about this conversation?
Well, I think just that, again, let's celebrate Judy Garland's life. She gave so much. She continues to give so much, 40-some-odd years after her death. And it's all about celebrating the life of a great entertainer. I think that's what it is for me, just in terms of my work. I hope they realize that's it. It's all a celebration and a lot of joy and a lot of happiness. That's what I want people to walk away with.
All right. Peter, you got to come back.
I hope to.
You will be. I know how to get in touch with you. My wrap-up is really simple. You know what? Peter said something which touched me, which is we all find our strength somewhere. And whatever it is you need to find to get you where you need to go, find it, go there, and celebrate it. And then share it with the world. JudyGarlandShow.com.
TheJudyGarlandShow.com.
TheJudyGarlandShow.com. Check it out. The Judy Garland Show live at Club Cafe on Tremont Street, I think it is. You can find it. Final thought is that I am amazed at what I've learned and what I have seen and what I love. My name is Mike Kincaid, as I told you. This is Age-Wise Boston. That was Peter Mack. Thanks for hanging out with me, everybody, and I'll see you around the neighborhood. Take care.